Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry. And now that we're going into the winter, I thought it would be good to do a video about where to go to keep warm in the winter. Now, traveling full-time RVers like me, we have a basic goal throughout the year of going where it is cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Basically, as some people say, chasing 72 degrees. And I generally do that as well. Now in the summer, it's pretty easy to find a place to go to get cool. Basically, you go up in the mountains. And especially in the western United States, it's easy to find a place to go up into the mountains so that you can keep cool enough that you don't want to use your air conditioner during the day. And of course, it's going to be very cool at night, which is good for sleeping. And I will do a video on that later, but now I'm just going to talk about where to go to keep reasonably warm in the winter. And during the day, the goal is to keep warm enough where you don't want to use your heater. But one of the nice things about places you go to keep warm in the winter is that it's still going to get cold at night, which I'm okay with, because cooler is better for sleeping. Most people agree with that. The only time I would use my heater, my furnace in my motorhome, is early morning. When I get up, make breakfast, it can be down to 50, 60 some degrees. So my goal in the winter is only to have to use my heater just in those early morning hours. So where you go to keep warm in the winter, basically you have 6 choices. Southeast California, Southern Nevada, Southeast Arizona, far South Texas, Southern Florida, and parts of Mexico. So now let me go over in more detail, starting with California, which is where I'm spending the first half of this winter. Second half of the winter will be in South Texas. So in California, good place to go is Death Valley. It's always going to be warm in the winter there. Like I said, during the day, but still it's going to get nice and cool at night. So from Death Valley going down to Baker Barstow area, and a lot of the time it can be really warm in the Los Angeles to San Bernardino area in the low valleys. That can vary a lot, but when you go down a little southeast of there to Palm Springs, from Palm Springs to Indio, they have super hot summers and they have fairly warm winters. So that's another popular place to go. And then from there down to anywhere around Salton Sea, and then just south of there from El Centro to Yuma. Now up into Nevada. Of course, the Las Vegas area is fairly warm in the winter, and then Lake Mead, and then anywhere near the Colorado River from Lake Mead down to Yuma. Now Quartzsite, which is only about 40 some miles from the river, is the most popular place for RVers to go to keep warm in the winter. And then over to Phoenix and Tucson will be warm as well. However, there's a lot of mountains around Phoenix and Tucson, so you want to stay in the lower elevation areas. And then let's talk about Mexico. I did go to Mexico for the winter a couple years ago. Anywhere along the shoreline of Baja California is going to be fairly warm in the winter, all the way down to Cabo San Lucas, La Paz. However, driving down to Cabo San Lucas, you're going to have to go through the mountains. So you want to plan that during the day and hopefully not spend the night up in the mountains if you're going to be driving all the way down to Cabo San Lucas. And this is for both the east and west shore of Baja California. If you don't want to drive that far, just go to Ensenada on the west coast and down to San Felipe on the east coast. The other place where it's fairly warm in the winter, and which is very, very popular, is Sonora, Mexico, which is just below Arizona. And the number one most popular place in Mexico to go is a little area called Puerto Penasco, which is right on the Gulf of California, or as Mexicans call it, the Sierra Cortez. There's a huge RV community that goes down there. And anywhere in the general area of northern part of Sonora, Mexico. Now let's move over to Texas. If you draw a line from Laredo to Corpus Christi, Texas, anywhere south of there is going to be what I call far south Texas. That's where you're going to find the warmest weather in Texas. Now, a little further north, San Antonio to Houston, I spent a lot of time around there. You're going to find it hot in the summer and cold in the winter most of the time. So that's not far south enough. You need to get down to the far south part of Texas, preferably along the Rio Grande River near the Mexico border. And there are numerous RV parks in that area. And that is just as popular for RVers to go as is Arizona in the winter. Now let's move on to southern Florida. And I did spend last winter in southern Florida. And by the way, the Florida Panhandle area is going to be cold. It'll be somewhat warm during the day, but unreasonably cold, I found, in the evenings. And I found the weather overall to really not be desirable. It doesn't really get very warm until you get below the Orlando area. From Orlando going south all the way to the Keys is nicely warm, and there is a very, very popular RV community in the little town of Bushnell, which is a little ways west of Orlando, where there's a lot of RV parks. Some people go to Bushnell just to spend the winter. Some people do that every winter. If you're in the east part of the United States, that's probably where you want to go, is southern Florida. However, when I was there last year, and this was in February and early March, when I was down in the Miami area, I found it too hot. In the winter, I found it too hot in the Miami area. In fact, I was plugged into electricity for a week in Miami, and I had my air conditioner running every day for that week until I got out of there. I don't know just how typical that is, but I found really far south Florida to be too hot for me. And one of the problems with going in southern Florida in the winter is because southern Florida gets just overloaded with RVs going there. And you're going to have to make reservations in RV parks well in advance to be sure you get a space there. And boondocking in southern Florida is very sketchy. In the center of the state, it's not so bad, but anywhere near the coast, don't plan on doing any boondocking. That's going to be very, very hard to find. Now, for RVers like me, the goal in the winter is to be able to be comfortable in a place. I want to be able to take advantage of boondocking so that have all my windows open, I can stay very comfortable during the day. Evening comes, I close everything up when it starts to get cool. But now what a lot of people do, especially people that don't have solar, is they will go to these various southern locations like I just told you, but they'll get into RV parks and plug into electricity. And then you've got all the heating and air conditioning you want to cover you day and night, which is really nice, but it kind of invalidates, to me, the whole reason of going to warm places in the winter if you're still going to be plugged into 50 amp in RV parks. Because I've spent some of my summers plugged into 50 amp with my air conditioner going all day and night, and I've been very comfortable inside the motorhome. Now when you go outside, that's a different story. But if you're going to be plugged into electricity all the time, it doesn't make much difference where you are in the country. You're going to be able to live comfortably. So to me, and to most RVers I think, the whole point of going to places where it's cool in the summer and warm in the winter is to be able to boondock, to not have to rely on RV parks and electrical hookups. Because the way I see it, if you're going to be plugged into electricity, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of finding warm places to go in the winter. So that's my take on it. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree, or if you have other suggestions of other warm places to go in the winter. There are a lot more detail I could give you about this place or that place. So if you want to make suggestions for the other viewers of nice places to go in the winter, then you're welcome to put your comments below and let everybody know about that. Now if you've been RVing for years, you probably know all this. But if you're just starting out, if this is like your first year or so RVing, or maybe you're thinking about getting into it, then this is something you really need to know, providing you're going to be a regular traveler like I am. So I hope this video has helped you in some way. Good day, folks.